Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a Switch/gaming my two cent video for this week. I had to shoot this several different times because my computer was kind of acting up. Hopefully it's fixed now and I can get started with this one. But anyway, we got a couple of stories that came out this week that caught my attention, so why don't we get started? And the first one is one that for Nintendo Switch fans was kind of unexpected and didn't see coming, although there were rumors earlier this year about it coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's also been confirmed that it will be coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and VR as well, and that is a remastered version of L.A. Noire, the classic detective game that received some good reviews though. That was released on the PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. So from a post on, let me see if I can get it up there. Okay, here we go. From a post on Rockstar's own webpage, it points out that the game will be launched on November 14th. It says, "Today, we're proud to announce a new version of the blockbuster detective thriller L.A. Noire, are scheduled to release on November 14th, 2017 for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Alongside these three new console versions, we're taking our first step into virtual reality with L.A. Noire: The VR Case Files, featuring several select cases from the original game rebuilt specifically for VR reality or virtual reality experience for the HTC Vive." It mentions that it also blends breathtaking action with true detective work to deliver an unprecedented interactive experience. That's the HTC Vive version. As far as the PS4 and Xbox One goes, it says it delivers the complete, according to Rockstar's website, again, I'll have a link in the description of this video, it delivers the complete original and all of the additional downloadable contents with a range of technical enhancements for great visual fidelity and authenticity, including enhanced lighting and cloud, new cinematic cameras, high resolution textures, and more. That's just my phone. Players play natively in 1080p for the PS4 and Xbox One console. No word about 60 frames per second or anything, so since it's not up here, I'm guessing it's running at 30 frames per second, but again, that's just my guess. And stunning 4K for PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. These versions capture the grits and glimmer of the City of Angels like never before. Under the description for the Nintendo Switch version, it says feature the completely original game and all additional downloadable content, which that's good, so Switch owners won't feel like they're being left out, with specific enhancements including a Joy-Con mode with gyroscope, gesture-based controls, HT rumble, and new wide and over-the-shoulder camera angle. I'm assuming that's for like maybe the third-person shooter part. Plus contactual touchscreen controls for portable detective work. I have to say that that one's a little bit surprising about all the specific feature. I'm a little surprised they're putting a lot of work into the Switch version, especially with the Joy-Cons and the gyroscope and the gesture-based controls. While that's great and all, I'm hoping at least there is an option to play the game with traditional controls. So I'm guessing that's going to be in there, but hopefully they do put it in there as well. And so while this is good news for Switch owners as well, there's also somewhat of a bad news as well. As often referred to as the Switch tax, it points out the game will be $10 more expensive on the Nintendo platform. It points out that the game, as listed as the official site, the HD Rumble touchscreen and motion controls, this is from Destructoid, feature exclusive to the Switch, will basically run you $50 as opposed to $40 for the other editions. Digital will be priced at $40, as it is case with other Switch tax situations. So in other words, if that's correct though, the digital version of L.A. Noire for the Nintendo Switch will be $40 compared to the physical retail version as $50. To me, I think this is both good and bad news. The good news out of this is that Rockstar is bringing bringing a game over to the Nintendo Switch, and that depending on how well the game does, it could open the door of Rockstar maybe bringing other games as well to the Switch. Possibly maybe GTA 5 or GTA 6, maybe Red Dead Redemption, and maybe Red Dead Redemption 2. Again, I will admit, it's too early to tell to know if those games will even be coming to the Switch or not, but it does open the door of that. But of course, a lot of that's going to depend on how well LA Noire does on, sales-wise speaking, how well it does on the Switch. I will say that they are sort of in the right path in terms of bringing all the downloadable content, so it doesn't feel like Switch owners are getting the short end of the stick. That said, the one downside that might turn some people off is the fact that, at least as far as the physical copy goes, it's going to be $10 more than the physical copy on the PS4 and Xbox One, which is running at $40, where this one is running at $50. And that might turn off some people from picking up the Switch version. I'm willing to try the Switch version out myself and see how it plays. Hopefully it plays well. The fact that it's $10 more doesn't bother me as much, but I can see why some people may find that as much of an issue. Some of that might have to do with the cartridges, though. How the fact that a lot of the cartridges right now, at least for the Switch, for putting all this file and all that stuff in it, is a little bit expensive at the time. Over time, supposedly, as eventually the price will go down and it will be a lot cheaper, but for right now, we're not sort of at that stage, so I'm not 100% sure if that's it, but that could be one of the reasons. But so overall, good that we're getting a Rockstar game like LA Noire to the Nintendo Switch. Great that the game is getting a second chance, especially on the PS4 and Xbox One. I'm hoping the game does well, especially on the Switch as well, but the fact that it's going to be $10 more might be an issue for some people out there. Okay, we're going to take a bit of a break, and when we come back, we will get to part 2 of our video, where we talk about basically a report that came out, especially about Final Fantasy 15, and how there may have been some miscommunication regarding a statement one of the producers made during a Twitch live stream at GameCon that's really has upsetted some people, let's just say. Okay, so we'll take a bit of a break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at a comment that was made a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago, I don't know exactly when, I forgot, basically over a tease that the Final Fantasy 15 director made, that, well, he's kind of had a bit of to backtrack it. For those who are not familiar with it, he made a comment on a Twitch stream at Gamescom, where he said that they were interested in something that rhymes with Twitch and all that stuff. This led to a whole speculation that they were bringing Final Fantasy 15 to the Nintendo Switch, or they're working on something and all. Well, today he spoke to DualShock and sort of clarified some of that statement, and then some stories came out later today, before I started recording this video, that just came up that recently caught a lot of people's attention. We'll start with the first one. The first one came from DualShock. Let me click out of that. Which basically points out, and again, link is in the description. He basically says, a few days ago, a live stream from Gamescom, Final Fantasy 15 director teased apparently to be a possible Nintendo Switch version of the game. Since that tease was rather vague and quite a bit tongue-in-cheek, DualShock asked the person to clarify whether the port is actually happening or not during a PAX West interview. He explains that nothing has been decided yet. The development team is testing out what kind of specs the Switch can provide. They tried to test the Luminous engine, which is the engine powering the game on the PS4 on the Xbox One, on the platform, and they figured out that at this point the team can't bring out most of the engine on the Switch. For the time being, they stopped there, but they're still looking into the Switch to see what they can do. He also said that to clarify that this isn't to say anything negative about the Switch, as the team did not did any specific optimization for the Lumiris engine, if I'm saying that name correctly. So, while it seems possible that if they optimize it, that there might get a different result or not, so we don't know whether that changes anything or not, but based on what that sounds, it sounds unlikely that Final Fantasy 15 is coming to the Switch, or at least that version. Whether or not the Pocket Edition is the one that's going to come to the Switch or not, who knows about that one. They also said that they also ran some tests on Unity and Unreal Engine 4, and they noticed that those ran well on the Switch. So that does raise the possibility that Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Final Fantasy VII Remake could come to the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm not saying it will come to Nintendo Switch, but it raises now the possibility that it could come to it, though. The team is at a point in which they understand technical specification of the Switch, and they will continue what they can do for the platform. So it doesn't mean they're closing the door on it, but it seems that it's highly unlikely that Final Fantasy 15, at least based on the way I'm reading it, though, is going to come to the Switch. Whether or not optimization will make anything better or worse, I don't know. But they admitted that they didn't try to optimize the engine on the Switch, so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. And then later on the day, and apparently, according to Go Nintendo, this whole story just went completely out of control. And it says Final Fantasy 15 director says his Switch teaser was kind of a joke, but they aren't dismissing the hardware. Oh boy. According to this, the following comes from a Kotaku interview with the Final Fantasy director. He points out he cannot find a Switch to purchase. He has already purchased multiple Switch games but have no hardware to play it on. Someone from Nintendo called him up after his Final Fantasy Switch tease at Gamescom. He cannot say what Nintendo has said. He says, quote, "It was kind of a joke response. That said, we aren't dismissing the hardware in any way. We believe it's a great platform, and we're looking for opportunities. And if the opportunity presents itself and there's something we can do to that given platform, we would like to do it." At the end, the comment from Go Nintendo basically says, quote, "How the hell is that a joke? It seems like a very clear tease to me. Either he is desperately trying to walk back statement because Square Enix did not want him saying anything, or he's a bit tone deaf when it comes to jokes. Obviously, Nintendo didn't think it was a joke as they reached out to him after the statement was made." Yeah, this really spiraled out of control apparently, and I do kind of wish he never made that tease or anything like that, because by what he just did and now trying to clarify this on Kotaku, part of my language for saying this, but it sounds like he just made it onto a whole lot of Nintendo fans' shit list big time. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you don't have anything to announce, then don't announce it, or like that. By doing that, you sort of put yourself in a very tough spot. Now, I don't know whether or not he did it himself to try to re-clarify it, or Square Enix told him to clarify the statement, or Nintendo told him to either, you know what, you should not have said that, or you should not have released it because you violated our NDA, or, which stands for non-disclosure agreement, or anything like that. But whatever the case is, it's really has turned into a very, very messy situation, though. I think now, to me, it almost sounds like he's trying to, it does come off as like he's trying to backpedal on it, and unfortunately that has not helped, and I would say it's a really dumb move on his part for what he did, though. He sort of built up the hype that Final Fantasy 15 was coming to the Switch, and based on the interview from DualShock and this recent comment, it sounds highly unlikely that it is. Again, that could change, we don't know, but based on what has come out of it, that doesn't seem to be the case. This is going to be sort of like they're going to have to really damage control this one, because they've pretty much pissed off a lot of Nintendo fans on this, though. I'm not saying I'm pissed off or anything, but I am a little disappointed and a little bit angry that perhaps maybe you should not have given that tease at all. Perhaps maybe you should have just been upfront saying that we have nothing to announce for the Switch, but we are looking into it, though, rather than do that tease, which gave the impression that you're bringing Final Fantasy 15 over to the Nintendo Switch. Though, not that I'm against Final Fantasy 15 coming to the Switch. It's just that the way that did not sit well, and if you think just releasing the pocket version will satisfy people, no, I don't think that would work. Although, I don't think the pocket version, based on the visually or all that, I don't think it looks bad, but I don't know if that's going to sit well with Switch owners and so on. Let's see what's the next one. Okay. Alright, we're going to take a bit of a break, and when we come back, I will give you my thoughts about recent comments made about IGN about Skyrim coming on the Switch, and an interesting rumor that has sort of gone around recently about another Bethesda game that could come to the Switch. I'm not saying it officially will, but it could come. So we'll take a bit of a break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our video for this My 2 Cent. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at some comments made by IGN, which recently tried out Skyrim for the Nintendo Switch. For those who are not familiar, that was Bethesda's game that they had officially announced that they're bringing over to the Switch. It was first shown off on that trailer for the Nintendo Switch back last October, even though it wasn't the gameplay, it wasn't the official game running on the Switch. Now we got to finally see some of the Switch, the Switch version, and so far it's been getting a lot of positive response. Put the article in here. From a post on My Nintendo that picked up on IGN, it points out that IGN had an opportunity to go hands-on with the Skyrim version on the Nintendo Switch and come away the experience very impressed during the PAX West, and so the game not only runs well on the Nintendo latest hardware, but the load times have been improved significantly on the Nintendo Switch. Here's what part of them had to say. I'm sure that saying that Skyrim on the Switch feels just like Skyrim sounds like I'm being reductive, if I'm saying the name correctly. But it's actually a genius praise. The game runs well with a smooth frame rate and generally crisp texture, and even the historic epic load time seems shorter. But what's more impressive is undocking the game and playing in handheld mode. Skyrim really pops up on the Switch screen, and novelty of taking its massive world on the go is sort of incredible. When it first launched back in 2011, the idea of putting Skyrim on a portable device seemed laughable, but it makes a lot of sense on the Switch. New to this version is amiibo functionality. Players can use amiibos to randomly generate loot in the form of treasure chests that drop from the sky, not unlike in Breath of the Wild. I used the original Link amiibo to summon a chest full of gauntlets and fruits, but was assured by Nintendo that the Link armor from this year's E3 demo was in the game, and it's pretty common in the loot drop. So, for those who are looking to play this version of Skyrim as a greedy Zelda reboot, it shouldn't prove too difficult. Motion controls are added to this version, and while aiming with the bow and arrow works well enough, flicking your wrist to perform different Mii attacks feels chunky and unnecessary. So according to this article, it seems that it got some good praises, though. Although I do hope that I haven't tried the game out yet, and it'll be interesting to see how the motion controls work in the game. Hopefully it's optional, and hopefully that we could turn it on and off anytime we want to, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm leaning towards it's probably that's going to be the case, but we'll have to wait until we find out though. But so far it seems the game has gotten some pretty good praises so far. Whether or not that equals good sales or anything like that will remain to be seen. But I can see these kind of games benefiting from the Switch. These kind of epic RPG-like games, though, really could benefit a lot. The whole idea of, like, you could take your epic adventure, play it at home, take it with you when you go out, whether it's on a trip or anything like that, and then come home and finish where you left off. I think these kind of games, along with games like Disgaea, Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicle 2, and of course Skyrim, can definitely fit well for a system like the Nintendo Switch, though. Yes, it is. After all, I believe this is a 6-year-old port, so there is that sort of disadvantage to it, though. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do think it has a good chance of succeeding, thanks to the fact that it seems that Bethesda is really putting some time and effort into this, and the amiibo support will be very interesting to see. In fact, with this high praise for this game, it's also spotted up another rumor of what Bethesda could be bringing over to the Nintendo Switch, though it's unconfirmed at this time, and I do want to stress this could be nothing more than a typo. So why don't we get started? From a report on GoNintendo.com and reported on several other sites as well, I'll have a link in the description, it appears as though that a Spanish retailer has listed Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition for the Nintendo Switch. Later on that day, it pointed out that the retailer has since changed the listing to remove the release date but left the listing itself. But other sites have pointed out that they've taken this down as well. Now, there could be many ways that rumor can be looked at as well. It's possible this could be an error or a typo. I mean, let's be clear, we've seen this before. We've seen where, I remember reading Lost Planet 3, there was a listing on it saying that it was coming to the Wii U, only to find out that was a typo as well. On the other hand, Telltale's, I think the Batman game has been listed multiple times until it was officially confirmed that will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll have to wait and see, though, whether or not this turns out to be true, whether this is a typo. I don't want to raise my expectation too high, but I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up being nothing more than a typo. That said, I'm open to the idea of Fallout 4 coming to the Nintendo Switch, the Game of the Year Edition with all its content or anything like that. Like Skyrim, I think that kind of RPG could fit well for the Nintendo Switch, especially, with the whole portability. And also, my fingers are crossed and hoping that it is true, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait until we hear official confirmation from either Bethesda or Nintendo. It's possible it could come. I mean, Bethesda could be looking at the positive news and with the Skyrim, and if Skyrim sells well enough, perhaps maybe they'll consider bringing Fallout 4 to Nintendo Switch. Maybe some of their other games as well. But as always, a grain of salt needs to be taken on this one. We won't know until we hear official confirmation. And let's keep in mind, it's also possible this could be just nothing more than a typo. I mean, that has happened before, so let's not jump to any official conclusion. Okay, we're going to take a bit of a break, and when we come back, we'll get to one more part for this video, and it's my thoughts about recent comments that have been coming around regarding the whole microSD cards for the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a bit of a break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final video for this My 2 Cent video for this week. Normally I do 3, but this fourth one I was going to have to do because recently a topic, particularly from the Nintendo Switch, that has popped up that has got some people upset, some basically accusing others for being fanboyism and all that stuff, and I think some of it has really gotten out of control. So I'm sure most of you are aware right now that NBA 2K is coming to the Nintendo Switch with a digital version coming out first before the retail version, which will come out in October. Some people are not big on that one. But the big thing that's caught people's attention is that apparently there is information pointing out that in order to get most of the content that's going to come out, that it will require a microSD, an additional microSD card. As some of you may not be aware, this is the same thing with Resident Evil Revelation that's coming to the Nintendo Switch, where the game will come with a physical copy with the first game, but a digital download code for Resident Evil Revelation 2. This has thrown some people up in arms, and they are basically upset about this, though. That they are not happy with the idea that Resident Evil is, or the idea that basically we have to pay extra for more storage spaces on this. And I have to say, after listening to both sides, I can understand why some people are upset, but at the same time, I kind of think some people are overreacting, and I kind of have to agree with Nintendo enthusiasm to a certain degree. And unfortunately, this is something that we as gamers, not only on the Nintendo Switch but in other systems as well, are going to have to get used to this. As these games get bigger and bigger and bigger and all that stuff, it's going to take up a lot and lots of space. I mean, the fact that people are complaining about the fact that you need more storage space on it is, to a certain degree, somewhat ridiculous. Now, some people have complained about the fact that it only has 32 memory or gigabytes in the Nintendo Switch when it launches, which I can agree why some people might be upset with that. But at the same time, this was information that came out long before even the Switch came out. And for some of us, like me, for example, before the Switch came out, I looked at how much storage space is going to be in the system, what kind of micro SD cards it supported, and sort of save up my money to get that along with getting the Switch. Although when I purchased the Switch, though, I took the layaway approach, which I basically paid it off and all that stuff. But in either case, I think some of the complaint is a little bit ridiculous, and I think it's something that gamers, I think Switch owners, are going to have to get used to. Yes, some of it is because it's very expensive and all that stuff, and I can understand, but as these games start getting bigger and bigger and all that stuff, it's going to require more and more space. I mean, hell, my PS4, my original PS4, when that first launched, it had only 500 gigabytes, and once games like Resident Evil Revelation 2, Metro Redux, and Grand Theft Auto 5 and Sleeping Dog Definitive Edition came out, those games took up a whole lot of space, and you really had to delete a lot of games off of it. It put me in a position where I had to get up to a 2 terabyte hard drive for my PS4. I mean, hell, I remember when the Wii came out, people were outraged over the idea of you have to clean out the fridge or, delete games on there to have space so you could download other games. Of course, they argue, once you purchase the game, you can re-download it any time, though. But people were clamoring for people to use the SD card slot in the Nintendo Wii, and eventually Nintendo did do a system update that allowed that, and a lot of people thought that was a lifesaver and all. So, although to be fair, at the time, games weren't at the level that they are right now, and all that stuff. But I think some of it, I will agree that some people are upset about this, but I also think some of it is sort of overreacting a little bit, in a way. I mean, unfortunately, this, like I said before, this is something we're going to have to get used to it, though. Yes, it sucks to some degree, and I can understand some of the complaints, but I do think both sides are sort of going way overboard on this, alright? If you sort of prepare yourself for this kind of situation and all that stuff, it shouldn't be as big of an issue, but for everyone else who are just relying on just the 32 gig memory on the Switch to settle all of this, that wasn't really going to cut it, though. I will agree Nintendo probably should have gotten more memory, but then again, it would not have hit that $300 price point that they were aiming for the system. So there's sort of a pro and con to all this. So my bottom line is that I think a lot of people are overreacting, and while I understand some people are upset about it, I do think this is something we're going to have to get used to it, though. I mean, I got used to it when I got the PS4 and I was put into a position where I had to upgrade to a 2 terabyte hard drive. And I'm certainly getting used to the Switch. The plus side is that the Switch will support a 2 terabyte microSD card, even though technically it's not out yet. The downside to all of this is that while there are microSD cards that have a lot of storage space in it, it's also very pricey though. Hopefully over time that will change, but for right now, I can see, like I said, I can see why some people are upset about it, but I can also see why I think some people are sort of bit blowing this way out of proportion and sort of going a little bit overboard on it. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. But what are yours, though? What are your thoughts about LA Noire? Are you looking forward to playing that one? Ooh, sorry. Are you looking forward to playing that one? Are you not looking forward to playing it? Does the announcement of the Switch is exciting? Are you happy that Rockstar is supporting it, though? Does the fact that it's going to be $10 more than the PS4 and Xbox One, is that an issue for you? Is that not an issue? And what do you think about the whole situation with Final Fantasy 15 on the Switch? Do you think that they may have jumped a gun? Do you think that they are damaging control in this? Or do you think they bit off more than they chew? Or do you think they really handled this poorly in every way? And what are your thoughts about Skyrim on the Switch? Are you looking forward to that game coming out? Are you not looking forward to that game? And what about this so-called rumor about Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's possible, or do you think this is mostly a typo on the retailer side, though? And finally, last but not least, what are your thoughts about the micro SD card situation? Do you think some people have a right to be upset about this, or do you think that they're blowing it way, way out of proportion? As always, sound up on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and also, excuse me, also feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description. And also check out some of the pages and Facebook groups that I'm part of as well. Also, links will be in the description for those. It's evening here in Southern California, so I'll be getting ready for bed soon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, for Southern California, wish you all a good evening.